Hello and welcome to Monotangle Monday. Today we're going to be doing a tangle called Auragin. This one came out last year from Zentangle. So they showed it to CZTs at an event called Zen Again. Every few years we get together and we learn new stuff. All right, so there's my frame, and let's get started here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on a little bit of a diagonal so we have a little bit more room. So we're going to start off with just a circle. I'm going to start off like right here, okay? And you can color it in or not. So, and then we're going to pull a line down. We're going to do the takeoff and land method and pull a line down to here, but we're going to do it kind of close like that. Okay? Then we're going to order that, but we're going to meet in the middle. So we're going to take off and land from over here. We're going to meet like that. Okay. And then after you do as many as you want, then you start going kind of in the opposite direction. So we're going to go like this. And you make them shorter and shorter as you go down. And that is the basic Auragin, okay? But what makes it really interesting is kind of what you can do with it. I'm going to take this 5 here and just color in my little circle real quick. This 05. All right, so I've colored in my circle. And then what are we going to fill these little things up with? Well, when I learned it at Zen Again, what we did was we filled a couple of circles in there. We filled some lines. So I'm just going to go with the curvy nature of this, and I'm going to do the circles, but I'm not going to do them in every line. I'm going to do them in every other line. Okay, so I'm going to start here. In Zentangle, we call these orbs and not circles because they're not usually perfectly circular. Okay, there's my first set of circles. Let me make sure I got all my little edges where they don't meet colored in. I like to darken those in. You could really put anything in these little strips of the Auragin. A lot of things would look really cool in there. Okay, and there's my second set of circles. And the only other thing I'm going to draw in is something called perfs. So this is an older Zentangle decoration method that, we don't really see very much, but I would like to add those on here. I am going to use my 05 because it's a little bit bigger. All right, now let's get to shading. I'm going to use a really sharp pencil here because what I want to do is get kind of on the edges of the inside of these little parts right here. And then I'm going to use a very sharp tortillon. It's barely used because usually I use this blunt one here. And you can see, can't get in a lot of little spaces with that. So I'm going to use like a relatively new one. And I'm just going to blend that out real quick. Okay, and the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to shade this line really close to the line. So I'm going to shade it right here. Like I'm going to draw a very thin pencil line right here. I want to get real dark right there, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. All right, and I think that is how I'm going to leave it. You could totally not shade there and shade within the little circles just shade the edges of here. There's so much you can do with it, but this is how I'm going to leave it. So that is the origin. So now I'm going to grab my PN and I'm just going to draw in a frame really quickly. Since I have this edge here, I'm not going to go over that. So I'm going to draw one of those frames that kind of skips that. So let's see, I'm gonna go in from my pencil frame just a tiny bit. So when I'm using my PN, and that way I can press really hard and get a line, or not press very all and get a really thin line. So I want to vary the line of my frame a little bit. Okay, so we're not going to close that in like that. All right, so now we got the frame in there, and that is going to be my origin for today.